folks, or whatever time of day it is that you're watching this now. My name is David Carnegie, and this is the YQR Update. Thank you. This is recorded in front of a live studio audience in the basement of Artesian on 13th. It's feeling like a typical Saskatchewan classroom crammed down here. Great. Well, folks, it's that time of year. We've got the big vote coming up, right? We all know the one, you know? Prairie Dog's Best of Regina. Also this month, the provincial election is October 28th. You can cast your ballot any day between October 22nd and 28th, but not Sunday the 27th. That's the Lord's Day. And clearly, someone at Election Saskatchewan is a fan of NFL Sunday. So why is there a buffet of voting days to choose from? Because Saskatchewan continues to experience low voter turnout.
In the 1980s, Saskatchewan saw an average of 78% of eligible voters participate in the provincial election. In the 90s, that number dropped to 63%, and from 2000 to 2010, that number dropped again to 60%. And in the 2010s, just 52% of those eligible in Saskatchewan voted.
Looks like there's a trend of people who couldn't be bothered to vote. If you're happy and you know it, stay at home. Yeah, very good. Even in Regina, we have a history of low voter turnout. Check out what the Fouge said back during the 2016 municipal election.
There was no driving issue that created a wedge issue or controversy.
Re-elected Mayor Michael Fougere believes this is a big factor in low voter turnout. He also thinks people are happy with the status quo. Despite this, he doesn't believe lack of engagement is a factor.
I'm not that concerned about this because, I would knock on a lot of doors throughout the city. And people were engaged, they knew the issues, they said, I'm comfortable, I don't have an issue right now, I'm happy with what's happening.
No issues, we're comfortable, everything's great. Why show up to vote? We're happy, you know? That's how the rider season works. When there's low attendance, that means the fans think the team is doing just great. So let's look into it. The 2024 provincial election sees 6 different parties running against the incumbent Sask party. And remember that every vote matters. Unless you're voting for the Buffalo Party of Saskatchewan, the Progressive Conservative Party of Saskatchewan, the Saskatchewan Green Party, the Saskatchewan Progress Party, the Saskatchewan United Party, or the NDP. The 7 parties. And if this was high school, I wouldn't be invited to any of them. So please, bro, can I get like $100? We need it for the party. We're gonna buy a bunch of lawn signs and a keg. It's gonna be a great time. We won't even raise taxes. So yes, there's technically 7 parties, but it's like Westeros. There's a bunch of kingdoms, but we only really care about 2. So let's take a look at each candidate. First up, the leader of the New Democratic Party is Carla Beck. She's 51, married with 3 kids, and was raised on a farm near Lang, Saskatchewan. And she really wants you to know that.
I'm Carla Beck, the new leader of Saskatchewan's NDP. From small farms like the one I grew up on, to big cities. The season's themes of love, peace, and goodwill towards others are universal. And more than that, they're the values that I learned growing up on the farm.
The Saskatchewan that I grew up in was a place where people looked out for each other. On the farm, we relied on our neighbors, and our neighbors relied on us.
I grew up in a small town, a farm just south of Regina. Hey, how's it going? This is my hometown. I learned to drive not far from here while Dad threw bales off the back of the truck.
We get it, you're from a small town. See what I mean? Also, pretty crazy that she learned to drive with her dad in the back of the truck throwing out hay bales. It's like the Mario Kart Farm Edition. Driving isn't the only thing Beck has in common with Mario. They apparently also both really like baseball. You've probably seen the ad by now.
Baseball taught me practice is important. You know what else matters? Results. Right now, Saskatchewan is in last place in education and in healthcare. When a batter loses their edge, they need to step away from the plate. Same with politicians. Saskatchewan deserves better. I'm Carla Beck, your Saskatchewan NDP official opposition leader.
I've watched this video a lot. I really want to like it, but it's just so bad. Like, she doesn't look like she's that good at baseball. And I don't think that's her. I think she is good. I just think like the editor really like did her dirty here. Like, they used a bunch of clips where she like is clearly hitting the ball foul. Like, it's going a little far left if you ask me. But also, you're saying if a batter's in a slump that they should step aside. You open the ad by saying you have to practice and like stick to it. So what? Also, if a batter's in a slump, don't they just take steroids? Anyways, not the point. The baseball's fun. How can you not be romantic about baseball? Okay, look, let's look at the other candidate, Scott Moe, okay? Scott is married to Krista. He has 2 kids, and he sells propane. Like Carla, Scott is 51. So if you add their 2 ages together, you get Joe Biden. That's just a fun fact. Scott Moe grew up on a farm near Shellbrook, Saskatchewan. I don't know why, but every time I hear Shellbrook, I think of Shelbyville. So for the purposes of this election, I guess Lang is Springfield, which makes sense because Carla Beck looks a lot like Miss Hoover. And that's important because we need that to complete the Saskatchewan cinematic universe. I should also point out that Lang, Saskatchewan is not Springfield, Saskatchewan, because there is a Springfield, Saskatchewan. Springfeld, also known as Springfield, it does exist. Donald Trump actually commented on Springfield, Saskatchewan. He said that it's so flat there, you can see them eating the dogs for 3 days. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs in Saskatchewan. Okay, so let's take a look at the Sask Party. They've been in power since 2007? The year of the iPhone 1? Since then, Apple has released 16 different iPhones. That's a lot of time and a lot of phones, all right? But if you're thinking of switching to Samsung, just remember, they closed all those hospitals back in the 90s, so Samsung did it, and they'll do it again if given the chance. Since then, however, the Saskatchewan Party has done a great job with healthcare.
Hey! Ho! Unsafe staffing's got to go!
Feelings of frustration, anger, and stress rang out in Saskatchewan on Thursday.
Critical care happens.
The Saskatchewan Union of Nurses were out in full support as they demanded for improvements from the provincial level.
According to a Saskatchewan survey, 86% of registered nurses are reporting patient risk due to staff shortages.
Zambori went on to add that both NDP and Sask Party were invited to attend a safe staffing conference prior to the rally. However, only Carla Beck arrived.
So wait, nurses held a rally earlier this month about staffing shortages, and the Premier and Health Minister were invited to speak on healthcare, but didn't show up?
The Sask Party responded, stating Scott Moe had declined back in July due to scheduling, going on to say Minister Hindley is in swift current riding today and was not able to attend on short notice. We value healthcare workers and look forward to continuing to engage.
All right, so let's get this straight. Minister Hindley couldn't make it to a rally about staff shortages? Let me rephrase that. Minister Hindley called in sick for a rally about staff shortages at the hospitals. It would be like a hungover Earl server calling in being like, yeah, I don't know if I can make it in today. I'm not feeling very well, and I'm in my swift current riding, so... You know, one way to address not having enough staff would be to close some of these hospitals. It's the 90s. All right, now we want to talk about the carbon tax. But the truth is, I don't really know that much about the carbon tax or like how it works or kind of who it benefits or anything. So we talked about just cutting the carbon tax bit. But then we asked Justin Trudeau, and he was like, you can't cut the carbon tax bit. Then we asked Scott Moe, and he was like, oh no, we're cutting the carbon tax bit. the Sask Party has taken the carbon tax off of our home heating bills and has saved Saskatchewan homeowners over $400 every year. And in return, all we've had to give up is the future. All right, speaking of the future, let's take a look at education. Last year, the provincial government introduced legislation requiring kids under 16 to have parental consent if they want to use different names or pronouns at school. Which is crazy because back when I was in school, kids didn't need parental consent to call me gay. Here's Scott Moe back in September of 2023.
For the government to be looking at, what services do we have in place to support children, to support our students, in addition to supporting the inclusiveness of our families in our education system, to ensure that that those supports are available, whether it be with respect to this policy or anything else that may be happening in our community or in our child's life at school or outside.
He's talking a lot about support, and that makes sense because I've always seen Scott Moe as a very supportive premier. Like when the truckers were traveling across the country, they went to the nation's capital, he was supporting the truckers. They were driving on the highway, a highway that's famously trans. So, look, now that we have thoroughly covered every topic of this election, that's a joke. We have not done... It's time to vote. So, what does Carla Beck think of the NDP's chances?
I say this to all of you and to those who are standing behind me today. We can win this.
She thinks she can win. That's optimistic. That's great. Wow. What do the polls say?
When asked, do you believe it is time for a change in the provincial government, 55% of those surveyed said yes. A quarter of all voters said no, while another 22% said they weren't sure.
All right, the majority of voters want to see a change. That's positive too. So you're saying there's a chance.
But despite a potential feeling for change, 50% of those surveyed said they believe the Saskatchewan Party will still ultimately win, while just 17% said they felt the NDP could form government.
So I guess we're sticking with the iPhone, just the same Sask Party that we've had since 2007, with minimal upgrades and not much of a plan. That's what we're gonna do. Or, this just in, Samsung has announced that if you upgrade by the 28th of October, they'll throw in an update to healthcare and education. That's not bad. Look, we're probably stuck with the same old thing again. But if you want to see a change, go out there and vote. And if you're happy with how the government has been since 2007, then you can stay home. You don't have to vote. We hope you vote in the election this year. Thank you for listening. My name is David Carnegie, and this has been the YQR Update.